one of the things that makes content marketing really work is when the content that people are or businesses are sharing with their audience is actually good information, is actually helpful and useful information. And we all know this by just being consumers in this world. When we're looking for information, we don't trust things that are ads, but we trust things that are actually like helpful and useful pieces of information. And so that's been our foundation at Storyteller, or our goal at Storyteller, has been to share information that's really helpful and valuable and useful for our clients, and actually as an agency as well. And that comes from, and our take on it actually comes from our experience in television news. And with me today, Matt Haugen. Give a hand, Matt, because we have two Matts, Matt Haugen and Matt Chapman. There's Chappie. And so as we were building our content team and really trying to take this to the next level, if you will, Matt Chapman and Haugen are the two guys that oversee the operations of our team and the strategy to make sure we're running our content marketing as well as it should. And lo and behold, they're both in television news, and the three of us actually all worked together in the early 2000s at WCCO. So, guys, let me throw this out to you. When you think about content marketing, how do you apply your journalistic roots to what we're doing for our clients and at Storyteller as well? How can I start with you?
I think the big thing that helps me that I learned going through journalism school and working as a journalist for 10 years is that I'm good at hearing something and figuring out what the nugget of the story is there that other people are going to be interested in. So I can work with clients and I go, this is fascinating to people who probably aren't in your industry, your clients, your customers, and then how to distill that information into something that the public can digest and use and will search for on the internet. Because that's the mix of how do we take our clients' information, find their stories that are really kind of impactful and would be meaningful content to a customer, and then make it a way that the customer is going to go looking for that content.
It kind of reminds me of what we talk about in video quite a bit, which is that it's easy to shoot and point a camera, right? It's easy to write words, but it's very difficult to edit in a way to make those words really matter to whoever's reading it, or in the case of video, the person who's viewing that video. And so, Chapman, I'd say to you, what do you think are the biggest mistakes that you see when out there in content marketing when people are trying to produce content that's supposed to be a benefit for the reader or for the viewer? You do quite a bit of work in our video team.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is forgetting who the viewer is or who the reader is, right? So, for example, if we have a company come to us and want to tell a story about themselves, about how great they are, or what they do, sometimes you want to say to them, but really, what is the benefit to the person who's watching that? What's going to keep them engaged to watch that whole story, to read that whole blog, to read through the pillar, to get to the next page? Because that's how you get them engaged. And so we really try and come at it from, I think, as you said, the viewer benefit, as we talked about back when we were in TV news, and say, why should somebody watch this? And it's, that's how we get people to engage in your content for you, is to really help solve their problems. So it's not about, as we're looking at our clients, right? It's not solving our clients' problems. It's solving our clients' problems.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Haugen, what's your trick? Oh, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say a point on that is we always have to remember that the reader, the viewer, has limited time. All of us are crunched for time. And so as part of the journalist's job was to take out the fluff. What didn't need to be there to get the information that was really useful? So editing down, removing the things that really don't matter to the end viewer is a big part of, I think, what we do is distilling it down to the most useful nugget and putting it out there.
It kind of reminds me of our days in news. When you go out in the field, you do an interview with someone and you're asking questions because as a reporter, basically what your story is and what's really important for that story. But the person you're interviewing wants to say all sorts of other stuff, right? And it's like I think you started with, Haugen, which is that idea, like being really good. That's part of the training, isn't it? Like just listening for what's really most important for the piece that you're writing.
Yeah, I remember having to write really complex stories about like economic indicators, and you had 12 seconds to explain it. And you had to figure out exactly what language needed to be in there so that people could get it and they could get enough information that it felt useful.
How do you, for people that may be watching this, and for either of you guys, you may have your own approach with this, but a lot of times a client might say, and if you're watching and you're a marketer, internal and in-house marketer, your internal clients, your boss or CEO or whatever, but they'll say, well, no, we need to talk about this. We need to say these things. How do you help people see that while you may have an agenda, it's different than what the person who's watching actually cares about?
I think about it as we're all on our own journey and we're all the hero in our own story. And too often companies are like, I want to be the hero in everybody's story. And nobody wants to have a hero introduced into their story. They want a guide to get them to their ultimate goal. They'll remain the hero, but it's the impedance along the way that you're going to step in and take out of their way so you can be their guide as they succeed.
Let's tie that back to news, because I think that that's part of what you guys were both so good at as producers, is really being the guide of the content and the information. And it's a little bit different, but there's similarities in that unbiased, right? I mean, you guys are the ones who are looking out to make sure, is this right? Is this fair? Is it balanced? And while I think that it comes naturally for us now, I mean, it's not always natural for the people that are trying to do it, right?
Honestly, we probably catch ourselves doing it at times as well, where, it becomes super easy to say, hey, we're going to solve this problem for you, and this is how we're going to do it, instead of, giving you the information in a way that says, hey, we see that you have this problem. Here are your options, right? And along the way, we hopefully will position our client's option as the one that people want to choose. But sometimes it's not the right choice. And that's the other thing that we do when we're writing is sometimes we're actually saying, hey, you're not the right fit for this company. And that seems a little counterintuitive, but nobody wants to work with a client that's not the right fit. It becomes really painful. And hopefully we can not only help you attract and retain the correct clients for you as we're doing this, we can also get the ones that you don't want to work with to go somewhere else. Is that too harsh?
One of the things that I like about Storyteller is that we're surrounded by journalists and ex-journalists or recovering journalists, because when I do slip into the too salesy mode, there's somebody else to call me on it and catch it, so that we have multiple layers of people who have that mentality of be curious, be unbiased.
And it's a hard thing to do. So if you're in an environment where you are the person and you know that you need to stay kind of help, I use the word useful, helpful information, and you're going to have outside forces pulling you in a different direction. Just try to remember that. It's hard to make a case for it, but if you can, I think you're going to have a stronger content marketing plan and strategy, and I think you're also going to have some better results. So. Well, hopefully this is helpful for you. Thanks, you guys, for your input. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you around.